Hi guys, welcome back to Amalgamated Moi. Having just restarted the World of Light mode in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I thought it might be fun to look through the roster and see who I would choose for my own roster. I gave myself two rules for this roster. Any character introduced to me through Smash Ultimate cannot be used, meaning only games I've personally played or knew of before or outside of Smash can have representatives. Fire Emblem, for example, can't, since I didn't know of its existence before Smash Bros. And second, any series represented in Smash should stay, as I might not add Duck Hunt or Pac-Man, but since Nintendo already did, I will as well. The series we're going to keep are Mario, DK and Yoshi included, Zelda, Kirby, Sonic, Metroid, Kid Icarus, Pokemon, Ice Climbers, Punch-Out, Animal Crossing, Mega Man, Castlevania, Pac-Man, Duck Hunt, Mies, and Minecraft. So, any characters not from one of these series are not going to be in this roster. But that doesn't mean I'm keeping everyone from these series either. Not that I necessarily didn't know about them, but I just want to slim down the roster a little bit. So who are we cutting from these series? Daisy and Dr. Mario, for one, as they are copies of more prominent characters, along with Piranha Plant, Jr., Diddy Kong, K. Rool, and Wario, to slim down the Mario Plus series. The excess Links and Sheik can go for Zelda. Y'all can get mad at me for this, but Meta Knight for Kirby. I only played the 1993 Kirby's Adventure, and I wasn't super drawn to Meta Knight. I like him in Smash, but he doesn't really fit this roster. Dark Samus and ZSS for Metroid, Palutena and Dark Pit for Kid Icarus, Jigglypuff, Pichu, Lucario, Greninja, Incineroar for Pokemon, and finally Richter for Castlevania, as I only played Simon's Quest. So our new roster looks like this, but I'm not only removing characters, let's add some for these series as well. Toad for Mario. Peach's neutral special might have to change, or not, but Toad is a necessary addition, being the only of the 4 playable characters in Mario 2 to not be in Smash. Impa for Zelda, Tails and Silver for Sonic, the Emmy for Metroid, Medusa to replace Palutena, Blathers for Animal Crossing for a more varied Animal Crossing moveset, and Pokemon. I've selected 3 of my favorites, being Cyndaquil, Marill, and Malamar, along with some new Mii reps, the Fab Fairies and Dark Lord from Miitopia, who, for their alts, I imagine would allow you to pick any Mii from your game system. For the final 15 characters of our 56 character roster, I'm going to go through them in the order I feel Nintendo would be most likely to add them to Smash, with the final few being ones that certainly would never be added. Excitebike was considered as an option instead of Ice Climbers as a retro rep for Smash Melee, and I think in a game at the level of Ultimate, Excitebiker could absolutely have been implemented, and is at the top of my list for highly likely characters for Smash. Balloon Fighter, another retro character considered for Melee, I think would be less likely than Excitebike, simply due to the moveset potential, but otherwise could absolutely be an amazing fighter. The Cooking Mama series, before being imported to mobile devices, was entirely a Nintendo console series, and I think Cooking Mama's moveset could operate similarly to that of Game & Watch's with a 2D aspect to it, and some other sillier options for attacks. Another retro rep, can you tell I like the old games, Bub and Bob from Bubble Bobble. This game was an obsession for me as a kid, and their alt costumes could switch between Bub and Bob, kind of like how the male and female Robins or Villagers work. Hubert is an incredibly iconic arcade character, up there with Pac-Man and DK in my mind. He may not be the most compelling fighter, but he is a must for a game filled with iconic video game characters. Yep, Crewmate from Among Us, possibly one of the most popular multiplayer games ever, and certainly even just the silhouette is iconic enough to make it to my roster. I figured that Wii Fit Trainer needed a replacement, and so I got thinking. The Just Dance characters are easily recognizable and have the same vibe as Fit Trainer, being blank-faced models for activity-based games. Now for a pretty niche character, or in this case characters, Even and Dicey from Lost in Random, certainly not the most well-known, but a really intriguing game, not to mention how fun a dice and card-based moveset would be paired with the spooky aesthetic. I think this pair would make an incredible addition to the game. Phoenix from Immortals Fenyx Rising, a rep I've wanted in Smash for a long time, and I know it's just not happening. but it can here. A nice pairing with Pit, and as an aerial fighter with most of the characters I play, Phoenix would make a nice addition to my lineup. While I understand a leader from Civilization would be a difficult rep to make, we need one. And who better than the Queen of Sparta, Gorgo? She already has a pretty unique weapon for Smash with a spear, and think how fun special moves based on religious, cultural, scientific, and militaristic actions could be. Her final Smash could even be part of the victory monologue from Civ 6. If we hadn't already, here's where we truly enter the absurd choices for characters, and I literally cannot fathom them being added. Phasmophobia's Ghost Hunter. We already have 8 character alts, but movesets based on the evidence would be awesome. Think of a UV area of effect bubble, EMF blasters, dots projector rays, the shield could even be a crucifix. No matter the moveset, I think a Phasmo Ghost Hunter would be an awesome addition to Smash. Tiger from Tiger Simulator 3D on Crazy Games, made by Cyber Goldfinch. Certainly one of the most memorable games I've 100%ed. Not a character I expect to be added to Smash, but it is one that I will be adding to this roster. Fireboy and Water Girl from the series of the same name, a Cool Math Games representative with 6 installments in the series. I think that they're a great choice, and either an Ice Climbers or a Pyra/Mythra style duo would be great for them. Definitely showing my nerdy side for this one, but the Puppet Master from Prodigy Math Game has possibly one of my favorite character designs ever, and I would have so much fun playing as him in Smash. Not to mention a great villain to add, with so many of our additions being neutral characters or protagonists. And our final rep, and certainly the least likely to be added, the Ghosts from the 2022 Google Doodle. This was honestly such a fun doodle, and I spent hours playing it, and a Google Doodle rep for Smash would be so much fun. And I feel it fits quite surprisingly well into this roster. There you have it, the complete roster for this absurd game that I've just compiled, spanning from actual Nintendo reps to Prodigy and Google. I had so much fun making this, and even went back and played a bunch of these games after adding them to the roster. Let me know who you would put on your own roster down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye!